Hi everyone, welcome. So today we're going to be talking about accessibility settings on Windows computers. How to get into accessibility settings. So we're first going to go to the startup button and it will say start when you hover over it. You click that and then you'll go to settings. Once you go to settings, you'll get this list. In here, you're looking for the ease of access button. So on my screen, it's right here. But if you can't find it, you can always use the search bar at the top. You just type in ease of access and it should pop up in a list and you can click any one of those and it will bring you to those settings. So now we're in ease of access. Over on the left, we see the list of all the different options we have. And the first section is vision. So we're in, and then we have interaction and more. So there are all these subsections. You have display, cursor and pointer, magnifier, etc. But we're going to start with display. So here you'll see you have options first to make your text bigger. So if we were to slide this little tab back and forth, you could see that it would change the size of the text. And when you're doing this, in order to save the changes, it won't automatically change. Sometimes if you see the apply button, you'll have to click that. So if you go ahead and click that, and now you'll see that the text has gotten much bigger all over the screen. But for the sake of this presentation, we'll just put it back to normal. Okay, so next you have an option to change the size of the apps, which changes the little icons on your home screen, which is great if those are too small for you. Next you'll see the brightness settings, so you won't be able to see it here, but if you slide this back and forth, basically it's going to make the brightness of your screen brighter and darker. Down here you have this simplify and personalize windows. This basically just means you can change certain things about how you see what's on your screen, windows that pop up and stuff. So next is cursor and pointer. So this section is great, a lot of use here. One thing you can do is you can change the color of your cursor. So if you click on say bright pink, the cursor will change color. You also have settings like this where if you were to click this little box here, when you put your cursor on like a white screen, it will be black, and when it's on like a white screen, it will turn white. So it will just create contrast so you can see it better. You can also change the cursor thickness. So this is when you're typing, so when you have that little thing that's flashing, it will be thicker, so it'll be easier to see where you're at, like in a document when you're typing. If you're sometimes get lost in the middle of a paragraph and you have no idea where you're supposed to be typing, that will show you. Change touch feedback, so this will basically give you kind of a visual signal on your cursor when you touch things. So magnifier, these settings basically allow you to magnify parts of your screen or your entire screen. So if you turn on magnifier, you will be able to zoom in and out of any part of your screen, which is great if you don't always want everything on your screen to be big, but sometimes you want to zoom in on specific stuff. So yeah, just once again, if you turn that on, you'll get these options to zoom in and out on your screen. Yeah, and then there's more settings down here in terms of how you control that and shortcuts and stuff like that. So color filters, there's tons of great color filters on here, so you just turn those on and you'll get access to them. You have things like inverted. Next is a high contrast, which basically, if you turn that on, you can choose how colors and light gets contrast on your screen, which is really great if sometimes things aren't as defined as you want them to be on your screen and you want to be able to see them better. Turning on your contrast is a great option for that. So it's loading right now, but yeah, you'll see it's high contrast with a darker background with these lighter elements to make it clear, but we'll turn that back off for now. So next is narrator. So this feature, if you turn it on, it basically allows your computer to read things on your screen aloud to you. So once you turn it on, you can decide how and when it reads aloud to you. You can have it kind of always doing it, or change the settings, but this is a great option for those who are seeing impaired. Next, when we get into hearing, so hearing audio, you can, the simple stuff like change the volume from loud to quiet. But there's also an option for mono, which basically means that when you're listening to something that has sound coming out of either the left or right speaker, you're able to change it so that the same sounds are coming out of both ears. And that is a really great section if you have if you're hearing impaired like one ear and you have a better ear and you want to get the full audio, that's when that setting comes in really handy. So closed captioning. So this basically will put closed captioning on videos you're watching where it's available. So it's not always available on a lot of sites like YouTube or Netflix or Amazon Video will have built-in features for closed captions, but this can, where it's available, present you with closed captioning, and you can decide on the caption color, the transparency, the style, size, stuff like that. So you're really able to change it, because sometimes that's not as individualizable, I guess, in things like YouTube and Netflix. So if it's also hard for you to see small closed captions, this is a great option to set up. And we see an example right up here of how it's going to look like. So when you're making those changes, you'll be able to have that as a reference point as to what it's going to look like. So next we're going into interaction, and we will go into speech. So this is basically where you can use your voice as a command. So you have the talk instead of type feature, which basically allows you to use dictation to write stuff. So if you have this turned on when you're typing up a document, if you get tired of typing or else you kind of want to spitball some ideas, you can basically just start talking and it will transcribe everything you're saying and write it down. The next is we have Cortana, which is basically the Microsoft version, I would say, like Siri or Alexa. So it basically allows you to give voice commands to your computer. And here you can turn it on or off and use speech recognition, and you can choose your command option, the command word that you use, and you can also then choose the way the person speaks back to you. So their voice, if they're male or female, stuff like that is available on here. So again, much like Hey Google or Siri or Alexa, this is the Microsoft version of that software. Next, we have keyboard settings. So in here, you'll see we have sticky keys, which basically you turn on if you have a tendency to hit certain keys accidentally. What it will do, it will adjust to that, so you can turn that on and then choose keys that you often make mistakes with. If you hit enter a lot by accident, it will address that issue so that it takes a bit more effort to type certain things, or type them. You might want to have to press the button twice, just because you know that you have a tendency to hit them accidentally, and it causes issues. So you can use that to counteract any sort of problem like that. So like if you were pressing enter, you'd have to press enter twice to get it to work if you're using sticky keys on it. We also have this on-screen keyboard here at the top, and you'll see it brings up the keyboard, and you can use it to type with your mouth, which is great if your keyboard ever conks out. I know sometimes you get problems with it, so it's a good option. Keyboard shortcuts, so you can change how those work, what the access keys are if you forget them and you want them to be a bit easier. So there's lots of options there. So next is mouse. So there's this control your mouse with your keypad. Basically, you could use your arrow keys to control how your mouse works if you wanted to. you can see all these other options, like only use mouse keys when num lock is on, so it's not always going to be on, but if you turn the number locks on, it will work. And you can change the speed at which it moves to make it a bit easier to use, since it's not going to be quite as natural. Eye control, so this is a beta feature, so that might not work very well, or you have to download it, I think. But basically what this does is it uses your eyes as your mouse. So if you're unable to have use of your hands or anything else, you can use your eyes basically to control your mouse. It will use access of your camera to do that. So lastly here, I want to show you that there's always this option on the right to get help on and more information on any of the settings in your accessibility settings. So if you want to learn more about what something means in any of these menus and guides, they're all accessible there, which is really great. A lot of them are super in depth and will help you out if you ever have any questions about, what a certain setting does or how to adjust it. So that's always really great and there and available for you. And it's in every single section, so it will be individualized to each section. And that's basically it. Thank you for tuning in.